You're almost asleep. The day is finally letting go of you. And then, out of nowhere, your brain reaches back and hands you the thing you said 5 years ago. The wave you gave someone who wasn't waving at you. The name you blanked on mid-introduction. The joke that landed in total silence. You physically wince in the dark. Maybe you whisper "no" out loud to an empty room. You tell yourself you just have a good memory, that you're self-aware, that this is simply how your mind works and always has. But no one else remembers this. The other person forgot it the same afternoon. You're the only one still standing in the room where it happened. That's not vanity, and it's not a character flaw. It's a brain doing exactly what it was built to do. Your mind tags socially painful moments as important, files them under "never do this again," and keeps pulling the file to make sure you learned the lesson. To a brain shaped over millions of years in tiny groups, being rejected wasn't embarrassing, it was dangerous. Get pushed out of the group, and you didn't survive the winter. So your mind learned to treat a social mistake the way it treats a threat to your life. That ancient math never left you. It just moved into the part of you that still flinches at a memory. Think of a bruise. When you have one, your fingers keep finding it. You press it, it hurts, and a minute later you press it again. Not because you enjoy the pain, because some part of you is checking whether it's still dangerous. That's what your mind does with an embarrassing memory. It presses the bruise, it replays the moment, feels the sting, notes that it still hurts, and files it away to check again later, long after the injury has healed for everyone else in the room. This shows up in a few specific, recognizable ways. And once you see the first one, the rest tend to click into place fast. The first thing it looks like is this. It arrives when you least expect it and never once when you're actually busy. You're washing a dish or drifting off, and with no trigger at all, a scene from years ago drops in fully formed. The cringe is instant, like it happened this morning. You didn't go looking for it. It came looking for you. 1 second you were fine. The next, you're reliving something you'd give anything to take back. It never shows up when you're occupied. It waits for the quiet. The second there's an opening, the reel starts, and your whole body braces before you've even worked out which memory it is this time. The second thing is stranger because your body treats a 10-year-old memory as if it were happening in the room right now. You physically recoil. Your face goes hot. You mutter "stop" under your breath, or squeeze your eyes shut, trying to shove the picture back down. Your body doesn't stamp a date on its memories. To your nervous system, the shame you feel now is the exact same signal as the shame you felt back then. The event ended years ago. The alarm still rings on cue, as loud as the day it was installed. Your body isn't confused. It's just being thorough. This is Thomas Gilovich, the psychologist who actually measured how visible we are to each other. He sent people into a room wearing an embarrassing shirt, then asked how many noticed. They guessed double the real number. Half the room had never looked up at all. The third thing is the sneakiest, because the memory doesn't sit still. It quietly gets worse every time you visit it. Each replay, you add a little. You imagine what they must have been thinking. You write dialogue that was never actually said. The version in your head becomes a director's cut, edited frame by frame for maximum humiliation. By now, you're not even sure how much of it was real and how much you built. Memory isn't a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you pull one up, you rebuild it, and you rebuild it in the mood you're in right now. Revisit it ashamed, and you file it back a little more shameful than you found it. You're not remembering the moment anymore. You're remembering the last time you cringed at it. The fourth thing doesn't stay in the past at all. It reaches forward, and it quietly edits what you're willing to do today. You hold yourself back in the present so there's less to regret in the future. You rewrite the text 3 times before you send it. You go quiet in the meeting because the idea might land wrong. You run a conversation in advance, screening every line for anything that could become tomorrow's 2 a.m. memory. You leave the gathering a little early, just so there's less chance of a moment you'll have to carry home. The replays aren't just reviewing the past. They're training you to shrink in the present. Every cringe is your brain's way of saying, make yourself smaller, and there'll be less to regret later. It feels like being careful. It's actually a cage. So where does a pattern like this actually come from? Not from one humiliating day. From 3 places, usually all at once. The first root isn't about you at all. It's about a brain built for a village of 40 people who all knew your name. For almost all of human history, you survived only inside a group. Being liked wasn't a nice bonus. It was food, shelter, and protection. Being cast out wasn't a bad week. It was a slow death sentence. So evolution wired a social mistake to hurt almost as much as a physical wound. For most of history, it was nearly as dangerous. That wiring never got the update that you now live among 8 billion strangers who will never think of you again. It still guards you as if the whole village is watching and keeping score. The second root goes back to a specific feeling you learned early. The feeling of being watched at exactly the wrong moment. Maybe you were corrected in front of the whole class. Laughed at for an answer you gave honestly. Told to stop crying, stop showing off, stop being too much. You learned that being seen, really seen, could turn painful with no warning at all. And a lesson learned that young doesn't feel like a lesson. It feels like a plain fact about who you are. So your brain built an early warning system. It scans your own behavior for anything that might get you noticed the wrong way, and it saves every hit as evidence. The replays are that system doing its rounds, checking the record so it can promise you it will never let that happen again. The third root is the hardest one to catch because it's hiding inside your own standards. From the inside, it just looks like having high ones. The moments that replay the hardest are the ones where you didn't match the person you think you're supposed to be. The composed one, the competent one, the one who never fumbles. The cringe is the exact size of the gap between who you were for 1 second and who you believe you have to be. So the replay isn't really about what they saw. It's about the version of you that slipped. The more rigid the image you're holding up, the more it stings every single time you catch yourself falling short of it. Here's what to do with all of that. Not a full overhaul. 4 small, specific things. The first thing to try. The next time the memory drops in, name out loud what it actually is. Even just quietly in your own head. When it ambushes you, say it plainly. That's my brain pressing the bruise. Not, I'm so stupid, just the alarm is going off. And an alarm going off is not the same thing as news. Naming it moves you from inside the memory to just outside it, watching it happen. That half step of distance is small, but it's the whole difference between drowning in the scene and simply noticing your brain replay an old one. The second thing? Test the spotlight. Ask how much of this anyone else is honestly still carrying around. Think of the last time someone else fumbled in front of you, tripped on a step, called you the wrong name. You barely remember it, and you certainly never held it against them. Now try to hand yourself the same forgetting you already gave them for free. You didn't file their stumble away for a decade. You let it go before you'd even left the room. This is the spotlight effect. We're all convinced the light is fixed on us, when everyone else is squinting into their own. The audience you're still performing for went home years ago. Most of them were never really watching in the first place. The third thing, give the memory a different ending than the one it keeps looping on. When it replays, don't fight it, follow it, and then add one line at the end. I was doing my best with what I knew back then. Say it to the younger version of you still frozen in that scene. You're not rewriting what happened. You're changing who shows up to meet them there. And this time, it isn't a critic. And the one that changes everything. The fact that it still makes you cringe is proof of something good, not something wrong. You can only be embarrassed by an old version of yourself if you've already outgrown them. The cringe is the distance you've traveled since that moment. Someone who never winces at their past is someone who never grew past it. Your embarrassment is a receipt for how much you've changed. You were never broken, and you were never uniquely humiliating. Your brain just got very good at protecting your place in the group, because once, belonging really was survival. It's still filing away every stumble, standing guard over a reputation that no one else is even keeping score of. The guard just never got the message that the danger is finally over. The bruise has healed. It healed a long time ago. Your fingers just kept finding the spot out of habit, pressing to check for a pain that finished leaving long before you noticed it was gone. Understanding people like you is what still psychology is for. If this described you, try the one line the next time a memory ambushes you. I was doing my best with what I knew back then. Say it, and let the scene end differently for once. If this helped, hit like and subscribe. It helps this reach someone else replaying the same reel tonight. This is still psychology.